No problem. All right, we are live. Yeah, while the chief's here.
We have a motion to approve our continuance that the chief had presented to us. We were going to vote on it.
Joel's gonna make that.
As you know, we have a police officer against whom there are these two legal proceedings pending. And I've been working, Chief George and I have been working together. We've been in communication with the district attorney, the defense counsel and the union counsel. And based on the current status of the case and the various communications, I would recommend that the board consider supervisor, the borough council, consider a motion continuing the suspension against him until the legal proceedings are over.
I'll make a motion to that effect.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, on the question, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, favors have it 7-0.
Okay, and that was Dave and Ronnie. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to get caught up. I want to make sure I had the wording right.
No problem.
Okay, and
Madam.
Okay.
Can I excuse the chief?
What did he do now?
Council members.
Yeah,
thanks,
Chief.
All right. Have a good night.
Thanks, chief.
Okay, thank you, Chief. All right. Next item is our borough's treasury reports.
Make a motion to approve the treasurer's report.
Thank you, Josh.
I'll second that.
Second by Dave, on the question, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, favor carried 7-0. The next one is our vendor payments to be ratified. We have a motion to approve them.
I'll make a motion to pay the bills.
Thank you, Josh.
I'll second it.
Second. On the question, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, favors have it 7-0. The next item under old business, our sewer report is not available tonight.
no, we'll get both March and April. No, April and May's at the June meeting.
Okay.
Fine, that'll be fine. Next is our CDBG monies.
Yes, if you recall when I forget his name, was here talking about how to use the CDBG monies, we came up with 5 questions that we asked. And I did have a conversation with Peggy Picotti. She said that she really feels that the suggestion of using it for the community center at Hillside Park or handicapped accessible bleachers is a very good idea. She supports that completely. There's some tricks involved in it because there's 5 municipalities and we're the only one that's an entitlement. The rest are non. So that's a trick on her end. And then there's, of course, the first thing that would need to be done is an engineered or architect plans that would need to be an estimate. And Josh.
I can take that to the HRB and give them a list of things that we need from them.
Right.
If we have a timeline in which we need them.
Good.
Okay. The other things we had asked is about money to tear down a building that's been vacant for a number of years and is an attractive nuisance for vandalism. And the answer was they would do that only if we condemned the home and took possession of it, or the property and took possession of it. So they would pay for the tear down, the raising of the building, but we would still have to pay for the legal cost to go through that.
Condemnations are kind of expensive. I mean, do we have any way to circumvent that? Do we have an ordinance or anything like that?
We have ordinance that gives us justification for condemnation.
Yeah.
But we're still gonna have a legal battle if we do that. So it's up to you guys. We need to talk about
Where
that.
is this located?
The,
On the property?
the one property that we were talking about happens to be the one on Bedford Street.
Okay,
That was the one example we threw out. There are other potential.
in the borough.
Yes.
Do we think it's like a public safety though? We're concerned that there's,
Yeah.
rodents and disease and
Yes,
it's a
that
nuisance.
in the particular, the one building that we're talking about, it's just, vandals keep. Like, it gets all covered up because the windows have been broken, so they cover up the windows and the vandals break the covers, and so that puts them in violation again, and they, we just keep going back and forth and back and forth.
So we do, and we know who the owners are and we've got
Yes.
contact with them.
Yes.
They just don't take remedies in order. to-
No, they've been taking the remedies, but then it keeps happening again.
Mhm.
They're not.
Just putting a Band-Aid on it.
Right. The building is useless as it is. And it's just sitting there. So they're not using the building, it's just sitting idle, and that makes it an attractive nuisance. When you have, the worst thing you do is have a building sit empty and ignored.
Right.
Is there any way we can have like the borough engineer take a look at the property and say, we need real serious changes here?
We would need a structural engineer. Our engineers are civil engineers, so we'd have to bring a structural engineer in to do that.
Is it sitting empty a long time? Do you have an idea of the time frame? If it's not in use,
Jerry, I don't ever remember it being used.
it's that long?
Which one are we
Long
talking
time
about?
then.
They used to make manhole covers years
Oh,
ago.
really? So it's a very long.
I wasn't sure if it was that, or the one across the street from
Time frame.
our place.
That's what husband to the houses.
Yeah. There,
Same.
that was the one that was thrown out as an example. So that's just what I'm running with. I mean, if we could come up with other situations. We have that garage in town that is just being neglected, and we're constantly going after them, citing them, and they pay the citation and do nothing, and we cite them again and they pay the citation and do nothing, and it's just, every 2 weeks, Jen's sending out another citation.
So my thinking on this is that I've been on this council for 3 years. Every year we sit here and struggle to figure out what to spend our CDBG money on.
Yes.
We have money expiring. The community center at the park in general has needs that qualify. I think we should move forward in supporting, making a request of them to support a number of projects there. I think we should explore the potential to utilize CDBG money in the future for raising these condemned properties, but I think we need a full understanding of what that's going to cost us. There's multiple, it seems. So in the short term, park's an obvious fit. In the
Right.
medium term, we could
Condemnation
pursue
is an
understanding the cost.
Let's do more research.
Yeah.
Just real quick too, she did like the idea of using the money towards providing recycling bids for seniors and low income. Thinks it's a creative application and could probably sell it. Can't say officially that it would go, but that's a minor one that we can throw in at any time. I just wanted to, it was one of the questions that we asked. The rental inspection program now,
The recycling though would have to be limited to low income and.
low income and seniors.
Because I know we talked about doing like electronic site recycling, but that probably would.
We could only,
It'll
the
only be
only
for low-
support you would get would be for the costs for low income and seniors, yes.
And I agree with Josh. Time has been going by, so I think we should decide something that would be useful.
Right?
Well, I think if Josh can come up with the numbers for.
Yeah, I can, Virginia, if maybe you can email me tomorrow with the, I mean, it's in your summary here, but maybe just
With
give
what?
me the specific set of asks that the county
You
has.
got it.
I can send that along. Do we have a deadline for when we have to submit?
The sooner the better.
Okay.
But I think if they have a project, that's a good start.
There's 2 projects, both
Yeah.
of which have cost estimates,
Right.
whether or not they have.
The bleachers would be real
requirement for engineer.
quick. That might be with the oldest money and then go from there. But I will email you. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll get working on that. I'm sorry, Jeff.
Have you adopted the International Property Maintenance Code
Yeah. Yeah, no, we're maintaining it. That's how we're citing them.
under the code? Under
Yeah.
the new code?
Yeah.
And you have a nuisance ordinance?
No, actually, we've been citing them under the nuisance ordinance because that doesn't require going to the magistrate. It gives them a fine. It's something we can do faster.
In terms of demolition, you might look at that property maintenance code.
Yeah.
To see the property maintenance code, the nuisance ordinance, and even your condemnation ordinance. Every look at it might be to figure out the cost effective way of getting the buildings down.
Right.
You probably have 3 ordinances on the books that can help you do.
Right.
And that's zoned industrial too?
That one is zoned, manufacturing industrial.
Right, and
We probably should, I mean, we would want to get a court order, have some judge sign off on before we took anything down.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's
Or
not
at
gonna
least
work for this year.
I think, if you remember, I was involved when the city did it, when Bell Township knocked on going, they have to have a right to a hearing. Yeah, and you can end up getting court ordered, but you have,
You can give
Sometimes-
at least an opportunity to remedy and stuff.
that protects you from any liability.
right, right.
Okay.
Good.
Okay, thank you. And thanks for your good input there too, Bill. Okay, our LNG position.
I drafted a letter, as I forwarded an email in the discussion last week, right at the same time. I guess the federal government was already taking action preventing, the liquefied natural gas to be transported by train. That doesn't help us with the truck traffic though. So I did acknowledge that change and asked for consideration on the dealing with the truck traffic. If council would like to see this voted on
Yeah,
to be sent.
If I may, though, I do have some concerns.
Sure.
First, I'm not really sure we have all the facts on exactly how much of this is going to be transported through the borough of Clark Summit. Additionally, you know, there are governmental agencies in the federal government. There's the Environmental Protection Agency, Department of Transportation that regulate all of this. So I think, you know, we may be jumping the gun and thinking that this is going to be dangerous to our community. Also, you have the DEP and PennDOT, so that's for the state. So I don't know if we really need to do something that, you know, is already regulated by the state and the federal government. Our job as council is to take care of issues in Clark Summit. And frankly, I just don't know if we should be speaking on behalf of our residents, with letterhead from the borough of Clark Summit. I know natural gas is an issue that's kind of, controversial, and some people are for it, some people are against it, some people think it's dangerous and bad for the environment. But, you know, there are residents here who may have family, they may have friends, they may be related in business to natural gas. And effectively, what we're using is the borough of Clark Summit to make a point regarding issues that we really don't have a lot of facts on specificity. So I mean, if council members have a view that it's dangerous, you know, it doesn't, you should be able to write your own letter. I think by using the letterhead for the borough of Clark Summit, we're overstepping the authority that's been granted to us by the voters of Clark Summit. So in my opinion, if people don't think it's safe, they can feel free to write letters to their congressmen, to senators, to governors. But I think the borough of Clark Summit should avoid being involved in something that is already regulated by the state and federal government. And I don't think we should be speaking on behalf of all our residents.
If I may comment on that, I completely disagree with what Bob just said. For starters, we do represent the borough and the residents, and they voted us in here to make decisions such as this on their behalf. I wholeheartedly think that this is a safety feature, safety factor. I know the number they have in the paper here from the Scranton Times is 800 trucks a day. I think that's a really crazy number because I can't even see if they lined up 800 trucks from Shopin to here. I think they'd just keep them on. I'm going down the road. I think there would not be enough room for just those 800 trucks. So I think that number might be just a little bit askew. However, the initial number that came out was 400 trucks a day, which in a 24-hour period, I could see 400 trucks a day. These things are like fire bombs coming through town. I have an article here from, also it was in the Scranton Times back on one of the back pages that Norfolk Southern estimates the Ohio derailment will cost $387 million. And that's not complete repair work because they don't know how much the insurance companies are going to pay. I think this is a very important product. We endorsed this last year. And obviously we had some kind of effect because the commission ended up where they had it in process. They had enough complaints that they went against us. I see absolutely no harm in us endorsing this. If Bob doesn't want to sign the letter, that's perfectly fine. I understand what he's talking about. But we're up here representing the people that live in the town. you ask anybody that tries to cross the street if they really appreciate all these tractor trailers going through town. I bet you $100, everyone you ask is gonna say absolutely not. They'd like to see them not even enter the town. All right, but those days are over with because we had the opportunity 25, 30 years ago to try to do something and we let the ball fall on that one too. But this is something that definitely, if we don't do this, I think you're just shirking your job as a representative of the community. Bob doesn't feel that way. Well, he doesn't have to vote that way. But I think this letter going out on the behalf of us representing our citizens, I think that's the right way to go. And I'm all in favor of it, and I'll make a motion that we send a letter.
I have one question though. I mean, I've been with council for 4 years. I've never had one resident talk to me about natural gas or liquefied natural gas coming through Clark. So I don't know, Virginia, have you received any calls about that?
This initiated, in 2020 because of a phone call from a resident. Who
That
was,
was Miss Stanky though, right?
right, that
She's
was,
not a resident.
Okay, I'm
She's from
sorry.
Glen.
she is from
She
Glenwood,
goes
you are
all over.
correct, I do recall that.
Goes all over.
Right,
all the
she was, acting, as a representative for a group that was protesting
If
it.
it's just possible, then we put it to whoever doesn't feel comfortable signing the letter doesn't sign.
Right, now Bob's comment is, and that's what we kind of decided, talked about last week. Bob's concern is just that by putting it on letterhead, we're, saying that we.
Appointed to represent the residents and have their safety and first and foremost.
I would concur with Dave's point that, we were elected here to
Preserve
make
residents.
decisions that we think are in the best interest of our residents, and I think that's precisely what this is. So I agree with Dave that everybody has their own opinion, their own vote, but I would concur that I see no issue with putting this on our letterhead, and I do think this is something that we should support.
I have a question for Virginia. Did we get any complaints last time we did do this?
No,
Okay. Okay.
we have no feedback
No
period.
one had that or negative feedback?
No. Now, if I heard correctly, Dave, did you make the motion?
I'll
Okay, so,
second.
okay, I was gonna say it's a moot point until it's seconded.
I'll second.
Okay,
I would like my name, that.
Yes. And I like my name as well.
And also I do remember from this discussion several years ago, because of the trains coming through our borough. Our police department, or fire department can handle.
Oh, my God.
it.
If something happened here, the fire company would be destroyed.
Yeah.
you're right, that would be one of the first victims.
We're so close to the railroad.
No, that's a railroad, but the railroad's
Yeah.
banned.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
But yeah, if it
So
goes, if it's trucks going through
real
downtown,
big
most of
issue.
our population is located in the city center.
And we had, and I remember Lackawanna County, their EMA came up and
Mhm.
discussed this with us at that time.
Yeah.
And they felt that if we had an issue with this, that there would not be enough,
Right.
help around. It would be a real disaster,
Mhm.
trucking or rail.
Or
So-
rail.
So that,
Right.
that's the responsibility. Now, God forbid if something happened, and we never sent this letter out at all,
Mhm.
they'd say we had no interest in it.
Yeah.
And that would be my only conflict that I would feel.
We weren't proactive.
We should definitely send our letter in.
Let's be honest, Bob, you're exactly right. There's not much we can do. This is all we can do is put on paper that we oppose this. That's it. We have no jurisdiction here.
Everything else is out of our hands.
Right, but I think that's the least we can do.
Yep.
Is raise our concern.
And I understand the people's concern about public safety and believe me, that is one of the most important responsibilities we have. As I said, though, I just believe that the individual council members can do that. I don't know if we should be speaking for all the residents as the borough of Clark Summit. And that's what we're effectively doing.
It
Because
has,
there are people who are involved in natural gas. I wouldn't want it if the borough of Wyalusing started telling us how to run our life and how our business should be run. And I just think that it's that by using the borough of Clark Summit letterhead, we're effectively speaking on behalf of all the residents. And I'm not sure that's something we want to do. But I understand everyone's position. I respect it. Please.
Yeah, it is a double-edged sword, and I understand where you're coming from and our position on it too, but I just feel that
What,
We have to move forward.
what if we, I mean, to your point, Bob, I don't have a particular issue with the letterhead. Because we represent Clark Summit Borough, we're elected to do that, but, you know, the letter itself could read the Borough Council of Clark Summit. It reads right now, the borough feels the fundamental purpose, et cetera. There's no reason that it could not read. The council of the Borough of Clark Summit feels.
Or the listed members.
Correct.
Yes.
We still represent the borough, so I think we are in our right to have a letter go on our letterhead, but I think that would be much more to the point if we
All right,
utilized it that way.
Before we go any further on that, there was already a motion and a second. So either we need that motion amended to reflect the changes, or we need to vote on it.
Dave, are you fine with amending the motion?
Absolutely. I have no problem in adjusting the language.
And I'll still hold my second to the adjustment of the
Okay,
language.
the only concern now then is that I will have to get you to come back at some point and sign this.
Okay,
Okay, because I don't have something in front of me that is, but I'm sorry, so we haven't voted yet anyway, so go ahead. We have a first and a second for the amended one.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
Thank you, Bob.
Okay, I will redraft this and get it out to you
Thank you.
guys.
Thanks,
Sure,
Virginia.
thank you.
Thank you.
Yep, that's fine.
We have no new business. Our solicitor's report is.
Yeah, my first meeting, I'm happy to be here. First meeting at the table, I've been.
Yes.
Yes.
The only thing that I talk, I talked about the chief minus on the issue of that was possibly getting the meeting was recalled. And that, and then various comments about the various sources of legal authority to condemn and demolish buildings.
Right, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. The next is our correspondence, Virginia.
Right, we have two bits of correspondence. The first one is from PennDOT. I forwarded you all a letter from our local Clark Summit PennDOT rep with some photographs. He is requesting that council consider making part or all of North State Street, particularly the one section in front of 315, a no parking area, because they have somebody parking there every day. And when there isn't when there is a parking lot available, and it's causing a lot of damage to the berm of the road, and they're constantly repairing it. And of course, they're liable if somebody gets injured and they sue, and they're concerned about that.
So in other words,
So what we would need to do is we would need to amend our ordinance to reflect no parking in that area. So I'd have to work with Mary Claire on drafting that, and we'd have to advertise it if council wants us to move forward. So what I'm looking for is to know, do you want me to move forward with this?
My only question to this is, I mean, even just looking at these pictures, this is hardly the only spot on the road that anyone parks. Why is this particular spot in such disrepair? Is there something else other than this person parking there that is causing this repair, and this is just a Band-Aid?
Looks like there might be a drainage issue there.
I mean, is this something that we'd ask our engineer to take a look at?
We could do that, certainly, and then I could readdress this at our work session. Sure, I'll get the engineer. The only thing that he said was that the woman did fall and did express concern about the maintenance. And he just, I don't know, I guess he's in a tough spot and he was looking for help.
But those are these pictures,
I do have a question,
cars parked up and down the road.
Virginia, if that's a state road, help me with
We still have the parking.
the parking, the road itself, the state controls.
But we can decide
So
where
off the
people
road-
can park in town and
Off
not.
the road is,
It's still their road. But we have the right to regulate the parking apparently,
okay,
just like we do with the meters in downtown.
okay.
right,
I feel it's almost like spot zoning. If you're gonna do one area, do the whole damn thing, then it's over with.
Mhm.
And I think if you do the whole thing, aren't gonna be a lot of happy people.
I have to say that the only concern here too is that, like, for example, in front of my house on Carnation, where we live there, the borough actually owned so far in, and
Right.
then there's the property line. But the pavement ended before then.
Right.
Amazing how many people don't realize and they think that that's theirs. And then if you say, well, it's part of the right of way, then they're saying, well, are you going to maintain it? And what can we do here? And can somebody, it's kind of,
What can you do for me?
yeah, we get people asking a lot of times to do stuff on those areas. I just find it uncomfortable.
Most of these are business areas, too. A lot of them are.
Yes.
Well, yeah, but I don't believe there's any off-street parking. I don't believe there's any businesses that don't have off-street parking. And I know that there's no section of North State Street zoning wise that allows for parking, for parking on the street to count towards their minimum number of parking spaces. Whereas in downtown, it does.
If the state owns the road, who maintains either side of the road? State?
The
or-
state.
The state. So maybe they're not doing their job. I mean, it doesn't look too good to me. I looked at the pictures.
I agree, Frank.
Yeah, I mean,
That's,
it's dirt is below road level.
so do
and
we
there's
want to
pothole.
just not,
Well, it really looks, Frank, if you look at it closely, it really looks like there might be a drainage issue there.
well,
Could be.
Because
That
if you
would
look
be-
at the roadway is dry,
Dave,
except for that pole.
not say that, because the
Oh,
first
well.
response back is from the state is going to be, well, drainage is the borough's responsibility. So now then, that would be
Now it
their
comes
excuse
back
to
on
dump
us.
it on us.
Yeah, okay.
Right.
So I want to be careful about that
Okay.
part.
Yeah.
I'm not comfortable with putting a no parking there. I just, by these pictures, I'm just,
So
Yeah.
basically, we're saying, let's not go any further with this.
I would agree with
Okay.
if the state maintained either side of the road.
Mhm,
Take a look at the pictures. They're not.
mhm.
So they're leaving the sides go.
Yeah.
That
Oh, I'm sorry. And
blacktop is cracking, and then
Yeah.
they're saying, hey.
and the other point I was gonna make is I know that like overnight parking, on-street parking during the winter. It's an issue of where are they parked? If they're straddling so that the car
Yeah.
is more on private property than on the right of way, then
Yeah, ticket.
please just don't ticket them.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, this becomes an issue of where's the property line and what if she just moves in? It doesn't solve their problem.
Tit for tat.
It's just a lot of
Yeah.
extra work for
Yeah.
us.
Virginia, how much would it cost to do like, have the engineer take a look at it and do an ordinance?
Okay, the engineer would take, 15 minutes. It would $15, $20 time. Passing an ordinance means that we'd have to pay Mary Claire to draft it, then we'd have to advertise it. So it's not gonna be, $1,000, not a phenomenal amount compared to our budget, but still money.
Do we have
It's more-
an ordinance on the books already that would address something close to this?
We already have parking areas that are allowed in places that are no parking.
Mhm.
This area is not regulated.
For the engineer to take 20 minutes to look at it and give us an opinion, is the parking on this area of road likely causing the, poor condition of
Yeah.
the road or not, in their opinion?
I think that's a fair.
Okay, so I will have the engineer look at it and I will report back at our next work session and we'll take it from there.
thank you.
Yeah, this, I just don't want to take action without making sure you're comfortable with it. A resident called, to look at our approved budget, the budget that we passed for this year, because he's proactively getting his information together before the town hall. And I said, I think I can safely speak for you guys in saying we're really happy that he's proactively looking at this. The budget is right to know information, so there's no secret about it. But it's something that I advertise on the website before the vote, but then I take it down. But he's saying, why not leave it up? I could certainly do that. I just don't want to put it on our website without making sure you guys are okay with that. Or, I mean, it's not like we'd be hiding anything if we didn't, because sometimes it just too much information can get confusing,
Mm.
but I'm happy to do it, whatever you guys decide, whatever you think.
We've supplied him a copy of the budget.
I did.
Oh,
He's taken
all
care of.
set, though, so.
This is just a separate issue. I
Correct.
just thought for the future, it might be a good thing to have for the residents to have easy access to it.
I would think we'd just be better off to put a little notation in there that if you're interested in the budget, stop by the Borough Building for a copy.
I have no issue with it being on the website. There are plenty of municipalities where it is. I actually think. I mean, this is a different topic, but I think our website could use a real upgrade to make it much friendlier to our residents. I know I've gone looking for ordinances on our
Mhm.
website and I
It's
can't
not
find them.
easy, no.
It is not easy at all.
Mm.
So I don't know if there are any, municipal specific. Web platforms out there that help you catalog and document your ordinances and your budgets and things like that.
There's any number of companies that will provide services for the websites. Right now, we're not paying a company. I just keep it through as free software programs. So it definitely has room for improvement. We just need to get some costs in to determine how much it would cost and do we want to spend that.
Do we also put our minutes and agendas up on the?
We did. The agendas are, before every meeting, the agendas are up there. The minutes are put up there. I have to say, I don't get them up after every meeting. Every so often I stop what I'm doing and I update the website with all the minutes. But they are up.
I definitely think transparency is the best policy. And if we have residents who are interested in what's going on in the borough, I think that's a really good thing. So
Yeah.
I would make a motion that we put the budget up and we put up agendas and minutes for the last 12 months.
And that's a good point. Right now, I've been putting minutes up and just leaving them up.
Yeah, but
I don't-
for 1 year, and then you can just transfer them out, and then
That
and
would-
if people want right to know, they can come get the other
Yeah,
stuff.
that's probably a good idea too. I didn't know how far back we wanted to start deleting.
As long as you're doing that, you wanna maybe add something to it that we try to look into getting someone in here to really do a decent upgrade so that it's, like Josh said, user friendly.
I think it'd be at least worth exploring a little bit.
I can certainly start pricing around.
Yes,
we're
And
looking at it.
I don't think that needs to be in the
It's-
motion.
You don't want to spend much money on it.
Yeah. Include that in the motion,
Right,
and then
but there's nothing wrong with finding out what.
I'll second the motion.
Okay,
For now, but yes.
Ronnie, sorry, Ronnie.
That's okay.
all right, so we have Bob Shields making the motion and
And Dave
Dave,
second.
Dave second, okay?
Okay. on the
Still,
question, all in favor?
Aye.
All approved, Dave recess.
And I think that'll make it easier to continue, so people aren't coming in the next 2 weeks asking for stuff, it's just right there for them to access.
Yeah,
Exactly.
okay, great. Yeah, and I will try maybe by the work session to have some ideas for the website for you guys to start considering. Oh, yes, we're not done yet. Thank you, Dave. After I put together the packets, we received in today's mail that letter from the county, and I didn't save one for myself. The county is looking, their goal, they would like to see, no, I'm good. They would like to see the, thank you, the stormwater controls consolidated through a regional organization rather than each municipality handling it separately. It was something that was initiated with the city of Scranton. And they did do a lot of work on a study, which I think that they'd like to come and present to council to talk about the efficiencies of it. They really feel that there's a good savings, good cost savings for each participant as opposed to each one working separately.
Sounds like a great idea. Any sort of regionalization that could save money and be more efficient is a good thing.
Worth looking at.
Yeah.
They're specifically requesting to come to our work session.
Thanks.
So I can tell them that's okay?
Yeah.
Okay, very good. So we'll be starting our work session with that presentation and then we'll move into it. Oh, actually, as you'll see, we're going to be recessing tonight. So the first thing on the 31st is we'll reconvene, vote on the trash contract if we're ready to. Then we'll have the presentation from the county. Then we'll get into our normal work session.
Okay.
Okay,
You need to make a motion to recess, or is that just?
Or to just reread that.
we don't need a motion for recess, but Jerry does need to read about the executive session.
Executive
need to be on there.
prior April 26th. Contract during And subsequent to May 31st.
And there was one during, I'm sorry, we do need to add that, and that was
Oh,
personnel.
right.
Or there. Didn't know about that when I put it together, but there will be one on the
And you don't
third.
need a motion to recess.
So we're going to recess
So I'll hold it.
until May 31st.
Okay.
Okay, and the time is.
Declare it.
8:20.
Yeah. Clerk's